Captain Jum Kim sat alone in the monitoring room of the research vessel Horizon. The room was dark except for the blue light from his screens. For 3 years, the Horizon had been listening to deep space. Jum and his team were looking for any sign of life beyond Earth. The night shift was always quiet. Jum liked it that way. He sipped his coffee and watched the patterns on his screen. They showed nothing unusual, just the normal background noise of space. Then, at 2:18 am Earth time, something changed. A new pattern appeared on Jum's screen. At first, he thought it was a glitch. He tapped the screen and checked the system. "That's strange," he said to himself. The pattern stayed. It repeated every 74 seconds. Too regular to be natural. Too complex to be random. Jum's heart beat faster. He had been trained for this moment. With steady hands, he pressed the alert button. Within minutes, Dr. Yun Park rushed into the room. Her lab coat was wrinkled, and her short black hair was messy from sleep. "What is it, Captain?" she asked, leaning over his shoulder. "Look at this pattern," Jum said, pointing to the screen. "It's been repeating for 8 minutes now." Yum's eyes widened. "Have you run the analysis?" "Just started," Jum said. The computer was already working to decode the pattern. For the next 3 weeks, the best scientists on Earth studied the signal. They found it came from a star system 42 light-years away. The pattern was too regular and organized to be anything but artificial. This was not a natural space event. This was a message. World leaders were informed quietly. There was no public announcement yet. First, they needed to understand what the message meant. After weeks of work, the translation team made a breakthrough. The message was an introduction. Whoever sent it called themselves the Galactic Concord, a group of 7 advanced alien species. They had noticed Earth's radio signals and wanted to make contact. More messages followed. The aliens wanted to meet humans. They would send a ship to Earth. 6 months later, Captain Jum Kim stood in a large conference room at the United Nations. Scientists, military leaders, and government officials filled the room. "The alien ship will reach Earth orbit in 3 months, announced General Lee. "We need to select our representative carefully. This person will be the first human to meet an alien species." The room was quiet. Everyone felt the weight of this decision. "We need someone who understands communication," said Dr. Park. "Someone patient and calm. Someone who can represent the best of humanity." General Lee nodded. "That's why we've chosen Captain Kim." June looked up in surprise. "Me? You found the signal, Captain," said General Lee. "You have training in languages and conflict resolution. You stay calm under pressure. You're our best choice." That night, Jum stood on the roof of the research center. He looked up at the stars and thought about the aliens traveling toward Earth. What did they look like? What did they want? Would they be friendly? For the first time in human history, people knew for certain they were not alone in the universe. Everything would change. Religions, governments, science, nothing would be the same after this meeting. June took a deep breath of the cool night air. In 3 months, he would be the first human to speak with beings from another world. "I hope I don't mess this up," he whispered to the stars. Little did he know, the Galactic Concord had very specific questions for humanity. Questions about war, weapons, and mankind's violent history. Questions that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. 3 months passed quickly. Scientists built a special landing area for the alien ship. World leaders made plans. Military forces stayed on alert, just in case. Captain Jum Kim trained every day. He learned about possible alien cultures. He practiced staying calm in strange situations. Dr. Yun Park helped him prepare for the meeting. "Remember," she told him, "you speak for all humans now." On a clear Tuesday morning, the Concorde ship entered Earth's orbit. It was massive, 3 times the size of the largest human spacecraft. The ship shined silver in the sunlight as it hovered above the Pacific Ocean. News channels around the world showed the same images. People gathered in public squares to watch. Some prayed. Some cheered. Some hid in their homes, afraid of what might happen next. At the landing area, Jun stood tall in his blue uniform. Yun was next to him, holding a tablet with translation software. They watched as a smaller ship separated from the main vessel and began to descend. "Are you nervous?" Yun asked quietly. Jun nodded. "A little." "You?" "Terrified," she admitted with a small smile. The landing ship touched down softly on the concrete pad. For a full minute, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss, a door opened and a ramp extended to the ground. The first alien stepped into Earth's sunlight. It was tall, about 7 feet, with blue-gray skin that looked like smooth leather. It had 4 arms and walked on 2 legs. Its face had 3 large eyes in a triangle pattern and a small mouth. It wore what looked like armor made of an unknown metal. Behind this alien came 6 others, each one different from the last. One had green scales. Another looked almost like fog contained in a clear suit. Another moved on many small legs like a centipede. They were as different from each other as they were from humans. The blue-gray alien stepped forward and spoke. Though its mouth barely moved, a deep voice came out. "I am Ambassador Terok of the Vector, speaking for the Galactic Concord. We greet the people of Earth." The translation software on Yun's tablet worked perfectly. Jun stepped forward and bowed slightly. "I am Captain Jum Kim of Earth. This is Dr. Yun Park. We welcome you to our world." Ambassador Terok looked at the humans with all 3 eyes blinking at different times. "Your world is young, Captain Kim, but we have heard your signals for many years. The Concord wishes to know more about humans before we decide if Earth can join our alliance." Jun nodded. "We are happy to share our knowledge." "Good," said Terok. "We will begin the assessment immediately. But first, we would like to see your world from orbit. Will you join us on our ship?" Jun looked at Yun. This was not in the plan. She gave a small nod. "We would be honored," Jun said. 6 hours later, Jun and Yun stood on the observation deck of the alien ship. Earth looked beautiful from space, a blue marble wrapped in white clouds. "Your world has much water," said a small green alien named Pell, "and many different life forms." "Interesting. What interests the Concord most about humans?" Yun asked. Ambassador Terok stepped closer. "We are most interested in your history of conflict." Jun turned away from the window. "Our history of conflict?" "Yes," said Terok. "All species fight, but humans fight in unusual ways. You kill each other over ideas, over invisible borders, over different beliefs." The room grew quiet. Jun felt uncomfortable. "The Concord needs to understand how dangerous you might be," Terok continued. "We need to know about your weapons, about how you fight, about how you kill." Yun's face showed worry. Jun kept his expression neutral, but inside, he felt a chill. The aliens weren't just here for friendly contact. They were here to judge humanity, and humans would be tested in ways they never expected. The next day, the real work began. The Concord set up a large room on their ship for the assessment. Jun and Yun sat at one end of a long table. The 7 alien representatives sat along both sides. Ambassador Terok stood at the front of the room. A large screen behind him showed strange symbols. "The Concord assesses all potential member species in 4 areas," Terok explained. "Technology, culture, resources, and conflict resolution." Jun nodded. "We are ready." "Good. Let us begin with technology." For hours, the aliens asked questions about Earth's technology. They seemed unimpressed by most answers. "Your space travel is primitive," said Pell, the small green alien. "You have barely left your own planet." "We are young," Yun reminded them, "but we learn quickly." Terok nodded. "This is true. Your technology has developed faster than most species, especially your weapons." The room grew quiet. Jun felt uncomfortable again. "Tell us about your nuclear weapons," said a tall, thin alien named Vex. "How many do you have?" June answered carefully. "Earth has about 12,000 nuclear weapons, but we try not to use them." "Try?" asked Turok. "You have used them before." "Yes," June admitted. "In a war nearly 80 years ago, 2 cities were destroyed. Since then, we have worked to prevent nuclear war." The aliens looked at each other. June couldn't read their expressions. "Interesting," said Turok. "Most species destroy themselves once they discover such weapons. Humans have shown unusual restraint. After technology came questions about Earth's culture. The aliens were confused by many human customs." "You have thousands of different languages?" asked Pell. "This seems inefficient." "And many different religions," added Vex. "This causes conflict." "Sometimes," June admitted. "But diversity also makes us stronger. Different ideas help us solve problems in new ways." Turok made notes on a strange device. "Your species is contradictory. You fight over differences, yet you claim these differences make you stronger." By late afternoon, they reached the topic of resources. The aliens were surprised by how humans used Earth's natural wealth. "You burn fossil fuels even though you know it damages your atmosphere?" asked an alien made of shifting fog. "This is not logical." "We are changing," Yun explained. "More humans now use clean energy. We are learning to be better." "Learning slowly," Turok noted. Finally, they came to conflict resolution. The mood in the room changed. All the aliens leaned forward. "This is the most important part of our assessment," Turok said. "The Concord must know if humans are safe to join our alliance." June sat up straighter. "We understand." "Your history is full of wars," Turok continued. "More wars than most species. You fight over land, resources, ideas, even words in ancient books. We need to understand why." For the next hour, June explained humanity's violent past. He talked about world wars, civil conflicts, and the long journey toward peace. He tried to show how humans had learned from their mistakes. When he finished, Turok stood silent for a long moment. "Your species has created many weapons," he said finally. "Your technological weapons are not very advanced compared to ours. But you have unusual ways of fighting, ways that concern us." "What do you mean?" asked Yun. "Most species fight for practical reasons: food, territory, mates. Humans fight for ideas." Turok's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. "This makes you unpredictable, possibly dangerous." June felt a chill. Were the aliens afraid of humans? "We need to understand your weapons better," Turok said. "Tomorrow, we will continue. We want to know about your most destructive weapon, your deadliest creation." As June and Yun left the ship that evening, they felt worried. "They're judging us," Yun whispered. "And I'm not sure we're passing their test." June looked back at the massive alien ship. "Tomorrow will be important. Very important." Neither of them knew just how important it would be. The next evening, the Concorde hosted a formal dinner. They wanted to show respect for Earth customs. The large dining room on their ship was decorated with pictures of famous Earth landmarks. The table was set with Earth-style plates and cups. June wore his best uniform. Un wore a simple black dress. They were joined by 5 other humans, top scientists and leaders who had been allowed to visit the alien ship for the first time. The aliens served food that looked like Earth dishes, but tasted slightly different. June was surprised they had worked so hard to make humans comfortable. "The food is good," he told Ambassador Turok. "Thank you for your efforts." Turok's 3 eyes blinked. "We believe sharing food builds trust between species. We want you to trust us, Captain Kim." "And we want the same," Jun said, though he still felt unsure about the Concorde's true goals. After the main meal, the mood changed. The other humans were talking with the different alien representatives, asking questions about their homeworlds. June noticed Turok watching him closely. Captain Kim, Tarek said suddenly, his voice louder than before. The room grew quiet. We have studied your planet's history of weapons. Impressive for such a young species. Thank you, Jun said carefully. Though we are not proud of all our creations. We have seen your nuclear weapons, your biological agents, your chemical weapons, Tarek continued. But we sense there is more to understand. The room was completely silent now. Even the other aliens seemed tense. So I will ask directly, Tarek said, leaning forward. In your opinion, what is the deadliest weapon in human history? All eyes turned to Jun. He felt the weight of the question. The other humans looked nervous. Dr. Park, sitting beside him, tensed visibly. Jun knew they expected him to name a physical weapon. A bomb, perhaps, or a virus, or some secret military technology. For a long moment he thought carefully. The deadliest weapon in human history, the one that had caused the most harm, the one with the most potential for destruction. The answer came to him suddenly. It was not what anyone would expect. It might even seem strange to the aliens. But it was true. Words, Jun said simply. The room was completely still. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Tarek's central eye narrowed. Words, he repeated. You mean language. Communication. Jun nodded. Yes, words are our deadliest weapon. One of the human scientists coughed nervously. Another frowned. They clearly thought Jun had made a mistake. I do not understand, Tarek said. Words cannot destroy cities. Words cannot kill directly. No, Jun agreed. But words can make people destroy cities. Words can make good people kill each other. Evan was watching him closely. She seemed to understand what he meant. Explain, Tarek demanded. Jun took a deep breath. Physical weapons have limits. A bomb explodes once. A gun needs bullets. But words can spread without limits. They can last for hundreds of years. They can make entire populations hate each other. They can start wars that last for generations. The aliens were listening now, their confusion turning to interest. Words can convince ordinary people to do terrible things, Jun continued. Things they would never do otherwise. No physical weapon has that power. Tarek leaned back, his three eyes blinking in an unusual pattern. The other aliens were making small movements that Jun couldn't interpret. Were they alarmed? Impressed? Confused? This is unexpected, Tarek said finally. We need to discuss this answer. The dinner ended soon after. As the humans prepared to return to Earth for the night, Yun pulled Jun aside. That was either very wise or very foolish, she whispered. I'm not sure which. Jun watched as the aliens gathered in a tight circle, talking quickly in their own languages. Neither am I, he admitted, but it's the truth. And for the first time since they had arrived, Jun felt he had said something that truly surprised the Galactic Concord. The next morning, Jun and Ian returned to the alien ship. They could feel something had changed. The alien crew members looked at them differently. Some seemed curious. Others seemed worried. Ambassador Tarek met them in a small meeting room. Only two other aliens were with him, Pell the small green alien, and Vex the tall thin one. Captain Kim, Tarek said, your answer last night has caused confusion. I'm sorry, Jun said. I didn't mean to confuse you. We expected you to name a physical weapon, Tarek continued. A bomb, a virus, something we could understand. Something you could defend against, Yun added quietly. Tarek's three eyes blinked slowly. Yes, perhaps. Vex stepped forward. Captain Kim, the Concord has weapons that can destroy entire planets. We have beams that can turn matter into energy. We have biological agents that can target specific genetic codes. And you think words are more dangerous than these? Pell asked, his voice high and doubtful. Jun nodded. For humans, yes. Let me explain better. Tarek motioned to the table. Please do. They all sat down. June thought about how to make the aliens understand. Physical weapons need someone to use them, he began. They need a person to push a button or pull a trigger. But certain words, certain ideas, can make ordinary people want to use those weapons. They can make good people do terrible things. The aliens listened closely. Think of it this way, June continued. If I gave you a gun, would you shoot an innocent person? No, said Tarek. Of course not. But what if someone convinced you that person was dangerous? What if someone told you that person would hurt your family? What if everyone around you said that person deserved to die? The aliens were silent. Words can change what people believe, Jun said. And what people believe controls what they do. No physical weapon can do that. Jun joined in. In our history, words have started more wars than any weapon. Ideas like, they are not like us, or they worship the wrong god, or they will take what is ours have killed millions. Give me examples, Tarek demanded. June took a deep breath. In our history, a man named Hitler used words to convince an entire nation that some people were not fully human. His words led to the deaths of millions. Just words, not weapons, Pell asked. His words made people create and use weapons, June explained. His words made ordinary people build death camps. His words turned neighbors against each other. Another example, Yun added. In Rwanda, radio broadcasts told one group of people to kill another group. They called them cockroaches instead of humans. In just 100 days, nearly 1 million people were killed, mostly with simple tools like machetes. The aliens looked at each other. June could see they were beginning to understand. Your physical weapons have limits, Jun said. They run out of power. They can only destroy what they touch. But words can spread across an entire planet. They can last for generations. They can make people use all other weapons at their disposal. Tarek stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at Earth for a long time. We have encountered weapons of all kinds, he said finally, but we have never thought of words this way. Perhaps because your species are different from each other, Yun suggested. You already see differences as normal. Humans look similar to each other, so we find small differences to fight about. Tarek turned back to face them. We need to discuss this further. The full Concord must hear what you have said. As they left the room, Jun noticed that Tarek was watching him with all 3 eyes focused intently. I think you surprised them, Yun whispered. Yes, Jun said, but I'm not sure if that's good or bad. The answer would come sooner than they expected. Later that day, Jun and Yun were called back to the alien ship. This time, they were taken to a large round room they had never seen before. All 7 alien representatives sat in a circle. In the center was a strange device that looked like a glowing blue sphere. Captain Kim, Tarek said, the Concord wishes to learn more about your answer. We need evidence. June nodded. I understand. This is a memory projector, Tarek explained, pointing to the blue sphere. It can show images from your mind. Will you share your knowledge with us? June looked at Yun. She seemed worried but gave a small nod. Yes, Jun said. I will. Tarek motioned him to sit near the sphere. Think about what you told us. Show us how words can be deadlier than weapons. Jun closed his eyes. He thought about Earth's history. The sphere began to glow brighter. Images appeared in the air above the sphere. The aliens watched closely. First, they saw Hitler speaking to large crowds. People raised their arms and shouted, faces filled with hate and excitement. These people look ordinary, said Pell, not like soldiers. They were ordinary, Jun confirmed. Farmers, teachers, workers. But words turned them into killers. The images changed to show concentration camps. The aliens watched in silence as the horrors of the Holocaust appeared before them. All this began with words, Yun explained, with speeches, with books, with radio broadcasts. Next came images from Rwanda. Radio announcers calling people, cockroaches. Neighbors killing neighbors with simple tools. No advanced weapons, Jun pointed out. Just words that made people see others as less than human. Then images of modern social media, people arguing online, fake news spreading, hate groups growing. In your society, can information spread instantly to everyone? Tarak asked. Yes, Yun said. Anyone can reach millions of people in seconds. The aliens looked troubled by this. Jun continued thinking. The sphere showed more examples. Religious wars throughout history, propaganda posters from different countries, political leaders giving speeches that led to violence. Finally, the images stopped. The room was quiet. Words can do something no physical weapon can do, Jun said into the silence. They can turn love into hate. They can make a parent reject a child. They can make neighbors fear each other. They can last for generations, teaching new people to hate. Vex, the tall, thin alien, spoke. But words can also heal, can they not? They can bring peace. Yes, Jun agreed. That's what makes them so powerful. The same tool that can cause so much harm can also do great good. The fog-like alien moved forward. Its voice was like a whisper. In our experience, most species discover destructive weapons and then develop defenses against them. Have humans found defenses against harmful words? Jun and Yun looked at each other. We try, Yun said. Education helps, teaching people to think critically, exposing them to different viewpoints. But it's not easy. It is a constant battle, Jun added, one we have not fully won. Tarak stood and approached Jun. You have given us much to consider, Captain Kim. Words as weapons. This is a new concept for the Concord. Is that good or bad for Earth's membership? Yun asked directly. That remains to be decided, Tarak said. The Concord must now discuss what we have learned. You will return to Earth and wait for our decision. As they left the ship, Jun felt both relief and worry. Do you think they understood? He asked Yun. I think they did, she replied. But understanding something doesn't mean you welcome it. Jun looked back at the massive alien ship. I hope we haven't just convinced them that humans are too dangerous to join their alliance. Little did they know, the Concord was already reaching a surprising conclusion about humanity's place in the galaxy. 2 days passed with no word from the alien ship. Jun and Yun returned to the research center where they first detected the alien signal. World leaders called constantly, asking for updates. News crews camped outside the gates. What's taking so long? Yun asked as they sat in Jun's office, watching the alien ship on a monitor. It hadn't moved from Earth orbit. They're making a big decision, Jun said, whether humans are safe to join their alliance. Then something unexpected happened. A reporter on a major news network announced breaking news. We have received information from an anonymous source about the alien visit, the reporter said. According to this source, the aliens are testing Earth's military capabilities. They want to know about our weapons. Jun and Yun looked at each other in alarm. How did they get that information? Yun asked. Someone from the dinner must have talked, Jun said. He quickly called General Lee. We're trying to contain it, the general told him. But the story is spreading fast. By evening, the leak had grown worse. Different news channels reported different versions of the story. Some said the aliens wanted to help humans develop better weapons. Others claimed the aliens were afraid of human weapons and might attack. This is exactly what we were talking about, Yun said as they watched the reports. Words spreading fear. The next morning, Jun received reports that several countries had put their military forces on high alert. Russia and China had moved ships closer to the alien vessel. The United States had activated its missile defense systems. This is getting dangerous, Jun told Yun. We need to talk to Tarak. They tried to contact the alien ship, but there was no response. The silence made everyone more nervous. By noon, protesters had gathered in major cities. Some held signs welcoming the aliens. Others demanded they leave Earth. Arguments broke out between the groups. "We have to do something," Yun said. "Words started this problem. Maybe words can fix it." June nodded. "I need to make a public statement." Against the wishes of some government officials, Jun held a press conference. He stood before dozens of cameras and spoke directly to the world. "The Galactic Concord is not here to harm us," he said clearly. "They are learning about humans to decide if we can join their alliance. Yes, they asked about our weapons. All species want to understand potential threats, but they have shown no hostile intent." He looked directly into the cameras. What they have seen in the last 2 days, however, is how quickly humans can turn to fear, how fast words can spread panic. "We are proving to them exactly what I told them, that words can be our most dangerous weapon." The press conference helped calm some fears, but the damage was already done. 6 hours later, a small boat of protesters tried to reach the landing area where the alien ship first arrived. Military ships stopped them, but the aliens surely saw it all. That evening, June's phone rang. It was General Lee. "The alien ship is sending a message," he said. "They want to speak with you tomorrow morning. Just you, Captain Kim. No one else." June felt a cold weight in his stomach. "That doesn't sound good." "What do you think it means?" the general asked. "I think they've made their decision," June replied. "And I'm afraid we've just proven that everything I told them about humans is true." That night, June couldn't sleep. He stood on the roof of the research center, looking up at the stars and the faint outline of the alien ship. "I hope I haven't ruined humanity's first contact," he whispered to himself. Tomorrow would bring the Concord's judgment, and June would face it alone. The next morning dawned clear and cool. June arrived at the landing area alone as requested. A small shuttle from the alien ship descended and landed smoothly on the concrete pad. The door opened. Ambassador Terok stood there alone. "Captain Kim," he said, "walk with me." They walked together along the edge of the landing area. Military guards watched from a distance. News helicopters circled high above. "The Concorde has reached a decision," Terok said. His 3 eyes looked straight ahead. June's heart beat faster. "I understand. Before you tell me, I want to apologize for the events of the past few days. Not all humans reacted well to your presence." "No apology is needed," Terok replied. "In fact, what happened has helped us make our decision." They stopped walking. Terok turned to face June directly. "When we came to Earth, we expected to find a primitive species," the alien said. "One that might someday join the Concorde as a minor member. One that would need our protection and guidance." June waited, not sure where this was going. Instead, Terok continued, "We found something unexpected. A species that understands something the Concorde does not." "What do you mean?" June asked. Terok's voice became quieter. "The Concorde has faced a new enemy in recent years, one that does not attack with ships or weapons, one that spreads ideas, dangerous ideas, ideas that have turned some of our member planets against each other." June felt a chill, like a form of propaganda. "Yes, this enemy infiltrates worlds before we know they are there. They turn populations against the Concorde. They spread fear and lies, and we do not know how to fight this." "Because you've always focused on physical weapons," June said, understanding. "Exactly." Terok looked up at the sky. "Our council has voted unanimously. Earth will not be admitted as a standard member of the Concorde." June's heart sank. "I see." "Instead," Terok continued, "Earth will be given special status as an advisor species. This has never happened before. A technologically young species given authority beyond its development level." June blinked in surprise. "Advisor? On what?" "On fighting the weapon you understand so well," Terok said. "Words, ideas, information warfare. The Concorde needs humanity's help, Captain Kim." June could hardly believe what he was hearing. "You want our help, but we haven't even solved these problems ourselves." "But you recognize them," Terok said. "You know the danger. You have fought this battle for centuries. You have experience we lack. 2 hours later, Jun sat in a room full of world leaders. On screens around the world, people watched as he explained the Concord's decision. The Galactic Concord has invited Earth to join them, not as a junior member, but as a special advisor, he announced. They face an enemy that uses information as a weapon. They want humans to help them fight this new kind of war. There were gasps and murmurs in the room. This means Earth will have a voice in the Concord far beyond our technological level, Jun continued. It means access to their knowledge, their protection, their resources. One leader raised a hand. What exactly do they want from us? They want us to teach them what we know about fighting misinformation, Jun explained, about recognizing propaganda, about protecting diverse populations from words that divide them. As the meeting continued, Un approached Jun quietly. I never expected this, she whispered. Humans as teachers to advanced aliens. Jun nodded. It seems our greatest weakness is also our greatest strength. Outside, the alien ship glowed in the evening sky, a reminder that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and they had found their place not through superior technology or weapons, but through their hard-earned wisdom about their own deadliest creation. Words. 6 months later, Jun stood at the window of a spaceship. But this was not an Earth ship. It was a Concord vessel, carrying the first official human delegation to the Concord homeworlds. Earth had changed much in those 6 months. Knowledge of alien life had united humans in many ways. Old conflicts seemed less important when faced with the vastness of the galaxy. A new organization had been formed, the Communication Defense Initiative. Its job was to help the Concord understand and fight against information warfare. Jun had been named its leader, with Yun as his chief advisor. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Yun said, joining him at the window. Stars streaked by as the ship traveled faster than light. Jun nodded. Who would have thought our understanding of propaganda would be valuable to advanced aliens? The ship carried 50 humans, experts in psychology, media studies, history, and conflict resolution. They were going to teach the Concord about recognizing harmful information, protecting diverse populations from division, and building trust across different groups. Captain Kim, a voice called. It was Tarok entering the room. We will reach the Central World tomorrow. Are your people ready? As ready as we can be, Jun replied. Though it's strange to be teaching beings so much more advanced than us. Tarok's 3 eyes blinked. Technology and wisdom are not the same thing, Captain. Your species has learned hard lessons we never had to face. Later that day, Tarok invited Jun and Yun to a private meeting. They sat in a small room with views of the stars. There is something I must tell you, Tarok said. Something few in the Concord know. Jun and Yun exchanged glances. We believe our enemy is a species called the Shadden, Tarok continued. They have no powerful weapons, no large fleet, but they have conquered or destroyed 7 advanced civilizations in the last 100 years. How? Yun asked. They infiltrate worlds slowly. They spread ideas that divide people. They turn groups against each other. By the time their ships arrive, the worlds are already broken from within. Jun nodded. Like Earth's history of colonization. Divide and conquer. Yes, Tarok said. Many in the Concord military do not believe your human methods will work. They want more ships, more weapons. But some of us see the truth. Which is, Jun asked, that this war will not be won with energy beams or battleships. Tarok said, it will be won with trust, with unity, with the ability to recognize when words are being used as weapons. The next day, they arrived at the Central World. It was beautiful, a planet with 3 moons and gleaming cities. The human delegation looked out the windows in wonder as they descended. Their first meeting was in a massive hall with representatives from all 7 Concord species. Many looked at the humans with doubt or confusion. A tall military leader named Grav spoke first. With respect, Ambassador Tarek, how can these humans help us? They have primitive technology. They have not even unified their own world. June stepped forward. You're right, he said simply. We have not solved all our problems. We still fight. We still divide ourselves. But that is exactly why we can help you. The room grew quiet. We know what it feels like when words turn us against each other, June continued. We know the warning signs. We know how it starts and how hard it is to stop once it begins. He looked around the room. Your enemy is using our deadliest weapon against you. We have been fighting that weapon for thousands of years. We haven't won yet, but we're still fighting, and we can teach you what we've learned. One by one, the alien representatives began to nod slowly. As they left the hall, Lund smiled at June. So we go from discovering aliens to teaching aliens in less than a year. Life is strange. June looked back at the diverse group of beings following them. No matter where we go in the universe, it seems some things are the same. Words can divide us or unite us. They can destroy or they can heal. And now we get to help them use words for the right purpose, Yun said. June nodded. That's humanity's real place in the stars. Not as conquerors, not as the most advanced, but as those who understand that the most powerful force in any world isn't technology. It's how we speak to each other.